Well, of course, there came a time where people decided they wanted to build in different ways to fit their decentralism. Cabin Building Annual, Sports Afield, 1954 edition, 75 cents. This, in a way, shows that that impulse to build your own place out in the woods or something does not begin with the 1960s by any means. So I thought I'd show that. But by the time we get to the 1960s, and maybe 70s as well, books like this are beginning to show up. The Shelter Institute, Bath, Maine, John N. Cole. I knew a little bit about him. I'm not sure if I ever corresponded with him or not. 76, from the ground up. Pretty good book, really, I think. Some of these I have much more respect for than others. I think, let's see how this is organized. The idea, the land, materials, the building. Yeah, I mean, you can see we're coming around to homestead engineering. There is some fitness in a man's building his own house that there isn't a bird's building its own nest. Thoreau Walden. Well, don't have time for this now, but I wanted to show you the book, 76. Now, there were also some pretty wild things done around this time. I mean, that's that idea that you're going to gain all kinds of solar energy from having a high ceiling like that. I didn't have too much patience with that, really. 1983, the Buffered Houseworks, Basics of Energy Independent Design. So much stuff like this, and a lot of it, well, it just, there were good ideas. There were good ideas. But for my purposes, it did not mix with energy or ecological morality. Anyway, quite a few of them came out. Some of these I like more than others. I rather like this one, Shelter. You know, sometimes I get these out again and look. In California, caves, etc., Native American, European timber, early timber. I should probably look at this before I go off on my trip. Great timber barns. Yeah, I will look. This is a good book, I think. Nomad Living. That was a big thing too. Domes, boy, I didn't have too much patience with domes. Not for my purposes. I don't know, but in any case, this is a very interesting book and a good book too, I think. Look at that timber framing there. I must look at this again. Maybe I'll put this aside for that purpose. I wonder when this was published. 73. 73. Done sort of in the same format as the Whole Earth Catalog, and that's the inside looks like of a yurt. Well, in California, you know, leave it to the Californians to do some pretty wild stuff. This kind of stuff I really had very little patience with. Eric Sloan, I already showed you a collection of his books that I have, 1985, The Homestead's Formal Entry. The Homestead. Huh. Well, Full House. I just, you know, I'll show you this. There were a whole host of books like this that came out. These cathedral ceilings, they wanted that look, even though it was, you know, not practical, but, okay, show you that anyway. Now, I became a carpenter. When I came back from Brazil, I was in Brazil from 69 to 72. When I came back, I became a carpenter. It was I wasn't the only Harvard graduate that did that around that time. The class of 68, which was my class at Harvard, there were several of us that did that. And, you know, this has nothing to do with sort of hippies and back to the land. This is just, you know, what carpenters needed to know. These are not, I've got a better book I'm much more fond of than these, but I thought I'd show you these. Of course, I read these you know, front to back, and studied it since I was working as a carpenter. I thought, well, I better know what I'm doing. Don't agree even with a lot of that. Build it yourself homestead, organic farm, gardening and farming. This would be the Rodale Press. There it is, 1980, in Miles, Pennsylvania. But by about 1980, you know, this is good. This is good stuff. And as I think, as I said, I'm going to leave gardening out for now. But by about 1980, the edge was off it, and people were getting back into sort of living the energy wasteful time. Boy, now this is, I've read this book several times. I think this is among, I'm not sure, not sure what I was writing about there. This is among some of the best that came out at that time. He was at the Open Air Museum at Jamestown, Virginia, I think. And there was a television series. Still looking for a date, and this was the companion to the television series, Roy Underhill. I still have some of them. 1981. Yeah, still when the interest was there. And one of my fondest books, as a matter of fact, this can bring me back around to the idea that I'm soon going to be traveling to Europe. Handmade. Old World Recipes, Barns and Houses, Dairy Farming, etc. These two traveled in Europe and the Near East, 74. They traveled and they looked at what closely. I mean, you just look at this: bake ovens, alpine dairy farming, alpine architecture of Switzerland, 74. Published where, in New York, I guess. But anyway, it is good. It is, for my purposes anyway, this is good. I had worried at one point, now see, that's interesting. They've got the boards on the inside of the frame, which is where I think they should go. I'll say more about that later. Sort of the same here. Well, yeah. All I can do really is just sort of show you these. I don't know if I'll be seeing anything quite like that in Germany, because this is Switzerland, but I've seen pictures of that house before. Timber frame. See, that was in Scandinavia. Flight of Fancy. Okay, well, we're coming closer to my favorite domain, that of the hand worker and the carpenter and the builder. All right, see you next time.